Tonight, we hear from a woman who was allegedly attacked with a knife in Prince George. Plus, City Council is considering moving Mr. PG to the downtown area. And the city is listing homes that have not paid their property taxes that could be purchased under the right circumstances. Good evening, folks. I'm Eddie Huband, and welcome to CKPG News. Tonight's top story. A woman alleges she was attacked by a man with a knife last week in broad daylight in front of her own home in Prince George, after it appeared that the man was attempting to break in. While the victim escaped with relatively minor injuries, the area has recently seen other people reportedly feeling unsafe. Tommy Osborne spoke with the attack victim on the incident and brings us more in tonight's top story.
I was confused onto why he was attacking me, considering he was in my yard to begin with the knife. I didn't even fully comprehend the fact that there was one or what that could have been until after we even left the hospital.
A regular Thursday afternoon turned horrific for Savannah Shaw, as what was supposed to be a routine shopping trip turned into a violent attack in front of her own home when she noticed a man that looked to be attempting a break-in.
He started out with just his fists. He then pulled out a blade. I didn't remember getting cut at first until after I called 911 again.
The incident began when she was walking home from Foothills Plaza and noticed a woman following her. She called the police, but given there was no imminent danger at the time, the call ended. Shaw now believes the woman was the attacker's friend who was scoping out potential properties to break into. After confronting the man, Shaw suffered relatively minor injuries, but that still included 3 stitches on her head due to a slash, as well as several bruises and other minor wounds.
That could have gone a completely different way. I could have been getting a completely different phone call at work, right? So I'm just thankful.
The feeling of being followed or feelings of being unsafe, unfortunately, are not new to the area of Carey Street and 15th Avenue, as there are several other Facebook posts detailing these thoughts and potential stalkers. CKPG News reached out to the RCMP to ask what is being done to keep our community and streets safe, but received no reply. However, Shaw and Nielsen say the service they've received from officers so far has been great.
I'm happy with their response and how they're handling my situation. Do I think Prince George can be safer? Yes, I think every city could be safer.
They've been very attentive to what's going on with her, and I'm very pleased with that.
If you find yourself in a similar situation, Shaw says the best way to stay safe is to not confront, get away, and call for help.
Be on the phone with somebody, if not the RCMP. It's like you want to always look like and sound like you are talking to somebody.
If you can, don't walk alone, because I don't want what happened to her to happen to anybody else.
CKPG News did not hear back from the RCMP, but according to Shaw, the investigation remains ongoing and the attacker remains at large. Tommy Osborne, CKPG News.
A quick reminder to our viewers, the leaders of all 3 front-running political parties will be taking part in an all-candidates debate this evening, and we'll be carrying this broadcast on CKPG TV at 6:30. This debate could very well determine the election. It's the only televised debate of the election, and it will take place in the critical days before British Columbians head to the ballot box. Local political experts say, along with the core issues like crime and healthcare, overall perception will be of vital importance. To the west in the riding of Nechako Lakes, Douglas Gook is the Green Party candidate taking on leader of the Conservative Party of BC, John Rustad, and NDP candidate, former chief of Lake Babby Nation, Murphy Abraham. Gook spoke to us to tell us why he decided to run.
Green Party politics and betterment for our communities and for our natural environment have been huge portions of my philosophy for life. In 1983, when the first Green Party in North America was formed here in British Columbia, I, along with quite a number of my friends at the time in Quesnel, formed the Quesnel Green Party. And ever since, I've been really trying to promote the kind of positive solutions that the Green Party has in its platforms.
And with General Election Day fast approaching, Elections BC is gearing up for a very busy couple of weeks, starting with advanced polls. And there are some important pieces of information the voter needs to know before they head to the ballot box. Cheryl Jan reports.
Advance polls open for the provincial election this week, with October 19th being General Election Day. So who could vote? Many residents are receiving registration cards in the mail.
Right now, we're in the process of sending out to each registered voter their where to vote card. That will give them their advanced voting options that are in their district during the advanced voting period. We'll also give them where their assigned location on voting day is. That's usually the most convenient one for them to go to because their assigned location will be the one that's closest to where they live.
If you want to expedite the voting process on October 19th and were unable to register in advance, there are options.
But if you are not able to do that, you can still go to the voting place and you can register at the time that you vote, or you can update your registration at the time that you vote. To be eligible to vote, you have to have lived in British Columbia for the 6 months immediately preceding voting day. You need to be a Canadian citizen. You need to be 18 years or older as of final voting day, which is October 19th.
Once again, to be eligible to vote, you need to be a Canadian citizen, 18 years or older on October 19th, and a resident of BC since April 18th of 2024.
It's also important to know that, when voters go to vote, they have to show ID in order to prove who they are and where they live. And so we have on our website, we list all the different kinds of acceptable ID. It includes things like, a single piece of government issued photo ID, which could be a BC driver's license, a BC ID card, BC services card that has a photo on it, or things like a status card.
Elections BC says it's doing everything it can to make casting a ballot as simple as possible, so there should be no excuse not to vote. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
The new hospital in Fort St. James is set to open next year. As construction nears completion, the massive hospital will be a huge benefit to Fort St. James and the surrounding area. Sam Benison has more.
The current Stewart Lake Hospital opened in 1972, and the government admits it has been outdated for years. Talks of replacing the building have been going on for over a decade, but as of October 8th, the new hospital construction is substantially complete. And while it took a long time to get here, officials are just happy to see that it's almost done, saying the old hospital served them well.
It would be frustrating if we didn't have doctors and nurses to be there, but when the people come in, for care, that's the doctors and nurses are there. So yes, it's a bit antiquated, but it's a little rough around the edges, but yes, it's served its purpose.
It made us stronger, so it made us take care, made us work harder, and we always work together, so it was good. It doesn't anger me, but now that we're getting the new hospital, it's awesome.
With a price tag of $158.3 million from the province and an additional $18.4 million from the Stewart-Nechako Regional Hospital District, the new hospital is triple the size. With an emergency department containing 2 treatment rooms, a trauma and ambulance bay, and a laboratory and diagnostic imaging area. There will also be 27 beds, including 18 long-term care beds. Something that Muriel says is extremely important for the Nekaslii-Whuthen.
We're losing our elders, and we really want to keep them home with their families, and not only here in Nekaslii, but the community, the Glasden and Binche and Yekuche, keep them close to home.
Mayor Martin Alfie has been inside and also gives the new hospital a stamp of approval.
When you walk in, there is the air of you're on the road to recovery kind of thing, you're healing.
This hospital will not just serve the nearby communities of Fort St. James and Nekaslii, but will also be there for the surrounding rural communities, drastically reducing travel time.
The weather is a big issue, and now that they don't have very far to go, they can get the care here that is needed rather than driving to Vanderhoof or Prince George.
While the new hospital is substantially complete, it won't be open until January 2025, after the provincial election, meaning it will be the job of the next government to staff the place. In Fort St. James, Sam Benison, CKPG News.
Some civic news. Moving Mr. PG to a new location was discussed at council on Monday night, but not everyone was on the same page on what should happen. Adam Burles has more on the debate of where Mr. PG's new home should be.
Mr. PG is an iconic and beloved part of Prince George. He was first constructed back in 1960 as a symbol of the importance of the forestry industry to our city. In 1970, he was moved to the intersection of Highway 16 and 97, and in 2012, the current Mr. PG moved to his current location when the Visitor Information Center was relocated. But city administration is concerned that increased development has made it difficult for residents and visitors to gain safe access to him, leading to the possible relocation of Mr. PG being discussed at council on Monday night.
The feeling is, safety, public safety, of course, is number one. It is right now, it's a little bit difficult to get access to Mr. PG at this particular location. But there is ideas also, why can't we just leave that Mr. PG alone to have a duplicate or certain, interactive Mr. PG at the Canada place.
Lots of ideas were floated around at council, including having two Mr. PGs and a Mrs. PG, if you will. City staff recommend that Mr. PG be relocated to Canada Games Plaza, where the new Visitor Information Centre will be located. However, council was divided on what should be done, and Councillor Kyle Sampson is opposed to having two Mr. PGs.
There's no right, there's no wrong answer when it comes to Mr. PG. He is beloved by everybody, especially folks from Prince George. We're very loyal and proud of, Mr. PG. And I think, from my perspective, let's not ruin the magic.
Sampson supported a motion that would see staff bring back a report to council with more information and public consultation.
I would like to see him kept somewhere around, if not right where he is and trying to improve the landscape around him, maybe somewhere in the vicinity here. But at the end of the day, I find our jobs interesting. We are elected to make decisions on behalf of our community and our city. But in this case, I really want to talk to the folks at Prince George, and I really want to gain the feedback of everybody and see, what do you want to see with Mr. PG?
So as for Prince George's beloved mascot, he isn't on the move quite yet. Adam Burrows, CKPG News.
Every year, a list is issued from the city of property owners who have yet to pay their taxes in a number of subsequent years. It's a long and involved process the city has to undergo to see a return of the taxes. But for many, it's also an option to purchase a new property, perhaps. Cheryl Jan reports once again.
The city's operating budget is just shy of $160 million, nearly 80% of which comes from taxation. But every year at this time, there's a list of properties that are in arrears of their taxes.
There's normally close to 200 properties that are identified as a potential tax sale. And then our staff really, we're on the phones, we're getting a hold of mortgage companies, we're talking to everybody that we can, trying to get them to pay before it ever hits this tax sale process. We do that for a number of reasons. It's actually less work for admin in the end, the less properties that are on that list.
This year, the list is relatively short. By comparison, 52 properties.
If you're unable to pay taxes, understand the first year it goes into arrears, the second year it's delinquent, and the third year, one of the very few really strong powers that municipalities have is to sell the property to get the taxes back.
The community charter states that unless full payment of the outstanding delinquent taxes plus the necessary interest to date of payment is received prior to the annual tax sale, the following properties shall be offered for sale by public auction.
After that, there's bidding that can happen, and the highest bidder gets the property for that tax sale. However, the original property owner still has 1 year from that time to what's called redeem the property. So if they can get all of the debts paid, then they get the property back.
Councillor Garth Frizzell says there are a series of different steps, a trio of them in fact, deadlines that a property owner has to meet. But this really is a course of last resort.
So every year there's going to be some sales, and that's with municipalities all over British Columbia. It's unfortunately common, but it's something that happens on an annual basis.
So the property owner has a year to pony up the taxes and the penalties that come with paying late. But if the property owner does pay up by that 1 year deadline, what happens to the person who put in the initial bid?
So if somebody bought a property for $100 grand, they would get the interest on that $100 grand if that person, the original property owner, paid the upset price and got off the delinquent list.
Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
And now to your health. Brought to you by Hard Drugs, 3rd Avenue Pharmacy, and the Phoenix Pharmacy.
After a large plate of potatoes and fatty turkey at Thanksgiving, you may feel a bit of heartburn. Reaching for the antacids can provide some relief, but what exactly do they do?
They sort of help with neutralizing that excess stomach acid production. So heartburn is essentially you're refluxing up acid, so we want to try and reduce how much acid is available to reflux. So if we're neutralizing it or reducing how much there is of it, that generally helps with treating heartburn symptoms.
However, if you're taking medications, hold off on the antacids and speak with your pharmacist first, as most of them will interact with certain prescriptions.
Tums, for example, contains calcium. Calcium interacts with a lot of medications. So just make sure you're talking to the pharmacist to make sure you're not grabbing something that's going to interact with the medication. And if it does, the pharmacist could give you like ways to sort of mitigate that interaction.
If you are experiencing heartburn at an increasing frequency, it might be a good idea to visit a health professional.
You can definitely stop by a pharmacy, see if there's a prescribing pharmacist there, and they can sort of go through the list of questions to see if it's something that's within our scope as a pharmacist, so we can potentially prescribe some stronger versions, but only for short periods of time, because if something becomes a long-term issue, you definitely want to be followed by a doctor to make sure there's not something underlying going on.
And if you're looking to avoid heartburn altogether, don't take the turkey nap right away, as lying down prevents the acids from moving through your digestive tract as quickly. Sam Benison, CKPG News.
To Your Health, brought to you by Hard Drugs, 3rd Avenue Pharmacy, and the Phoenix Pharmacy.
The lowest gas price in Prince George is sitting at $1.54.9 per liter at Costco. The lowest price in the province right now is in Cranbrook at $1.51.9 per liter. Manitoba has the lowest fuel prices on average in the country at $1.26.3 per liter, while BC has an average price of $1.68 per liter.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Join the Domino's Lunch Club with 25% off all regular price pizzas every day. Visit domino's.ca to join the club.
In the wake of the Cohen-Ziemer returns announcement, Zeems, he's back, folks. Great news. But the Cougars announced a trade today, sending forward Carlin Dezane along with a 9th-round pick in 2025 to the Swift Current Broncos. The Cats will receive forward Van Egger along with a 2nd-rounder in 2025, along with a 4th in 2027. GM Mark Lamb said it was a trade the Cougars did not want to make, but with Ziemer returning, the team had too many 20-year-olds on the roster, and the business part of the game came into play. Dezane was enjoying a good start to the season. He led the team with 10 points so far this year. The TSX is down 30 points to close at 24,073. The Dow Jones is up 126 points to close at 42,080. And CN Rail went up 82 cents to close at $154.96.
Good evening again, everyone. We are in for a really nice stretch of weather going forward, which we'll show you in just a moment. Looking back, though, on our Pacific satellite, and again, a very blustery day out there in terms of winds. We saw those southwest winds really picking up at times throughout the day to about 70 kilometers an hour. So continuing on with a bit of an unstable situation going into the evening hours for some parts, but otherwise, it's a really, really nice clearing trend back here that we're going to start to see building in. So here's the futurecast next 48 hours. Again, Wednesday looking good. Mix of sun and cloud for our day. We've got this little piece of this system that is hitting the north coast that may move in and bring us a few spotty showers later into the afternoon. But I think at this point we are really in for a nice dry trend going into our Wednesday. So some areas of the region will see some of those showers. Burns Lake included in that, which I'll show you in a second. So there's the system up the north coast. It is going to bring quite a few showers and even rain heavy at times in through Terrace, and highs of only 9 there. We'll get to 11 tomorrow, but beautiful sunny sky, and we're actually going to see that temperature building as the days go on. So we do have high pressure that is going to be building up, and that's going to strengthen as we get closer to the Thanksgiving long weekend. So with that, we should have, for the most part, a pretty sunny weekend for everybody. 15 degrees Vancouver tomorrow, a wet one still along the coast before it starts to dry out. And there we go. So Burns Lake and Vanderhoof Hoof, definitely going to see some showers here and there. Mackenzie as well, just as a result of that system up the north coast. But otherwise, I think it'll be pretty nice in most areas. We'll just leave that slight chance down through Quesnel and McBride. But for us, we're going to be in pretty good shape tomorrow. So again, 15 and cool and wet along the coast there. 14 Edmonton, beautiful in through the prairies. 23 degrees for Regina and Winnipeg. Montreal, cooling down just a little bit, but really going to still see some nice sunny skies there. Sunshine late week is what we're anticipating, of course. And again, we're moving into a drier trend for sure. A little bit cooler in some areas, but I think by the closer to the Thanksgiving weekend, we should have some nicer temperatures, which we'll show you here. So a little bit colder tonight for Burns Lake, down to -1. You're looking at highs of around 9 tomorrow, clouds and showers there. And then it doesn't really start to get a little milder till Friday or Saturday, but still some fantastic skies to enjoy. Mostly clear and cold tonight in Mackenzie, down to 0, 9 tomorrow, clouds and showers. And again, looking at some showers lingering into Thursday morning, but otherwise it is dry after that as high pressure builds. +1 tonight in McBride, 12 degrees tomorrow, a few showers expected. Morning showers on Thursday are possible, but for the most part, your day looks pretty dry and nice and sunny, and the same for Quesnel. So really just a few spotty showers in through the day tomorrow in the afternoon. Otherwise, really nice. And by Saturday, Sunday, you're up to 15 and 18 degrees, and it's a pretty nice looking forecast for us as well. We'll watch any other systems that may be coming our way later into the Thanksgiving long weekend, but at this point, things look pretty nice to be outdoors. Cold tonight, though, down below freezing, and up to 11 with mostly sunny skies tomorrow.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Join the Domino's Lunch Club with 25% off all regular price pizzas every day. Visit domino's.ca to join the club.
Cohen Seymour will be in the lineup tonight when the Cougars take on the Portland Winterhawks at CN Center. Now, these two teams played on Saturday when the Cats lost a heartbreaker, giving up the game-winning goal with just 3 seconds left in regulation. Jet Lajoie, he'll look to continue his strong start to the year. He has 9 points already on the season. This is also a rematch of last year's Western Conference Finals, which saw Portland take down Prince George in 6 games. The MLB Divisional Series continue to live up to the hype, as all the series are tied at 1-1. We show you how it got there, plus a great defensive play on Monday Night Football, all in tonight's CKP3.
The Detroit Tigers continue to impress.
Goes, pitch is swung on, a high fly ball to right field. This one is gonna fly!
Kerry Carpenter called game on this one. Top of the 9th inning with 2 outs, Carpenter swung for the fences and delivered this high-flying, series-tying homer. Detroit now heads back to its home diamond as the Tigers continue to be the league's biggest Cinderella story. The Royals also took care of business against the Yankees.
3 home runs off Rodon.
Salvi drills it high in the air, deep left field, no doubt about it, it's a home run!
The second inning was all Kansas City needed, exploding for 4 runs early in the game and never letting the lead go. In fact, the usually high-powered Yankees were held to just 2 runs as the Royals put on a defensive clinic. And Kansas City was playing more than just baseball last night.
Smith-Schuster, and there he is, Colin Saunders, and he took it out. Big Colin rumbling.
The Chiefs would comfortably win this one 26-13, but the play of the game has to go to the big man interception as Colin Saunders takes advantage of a pass breakup and bulldozes his way out to the 37-yard line. Even though the Saints lost, it is always fun seeing a big man with the ball in his hands in tonight's CKP3.
That's all for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Cadence up next with the Today Show. Adam Burrows at 6:30. I'll see you tomorrow.